This week, the president is talking up yet another plan to help distressed homeowners by making it easier to refinance their high-rate mortgages. But the government's failure to solve the foreclosure crisis is devastating black wealth, even though the recession officially ended in mid-2009. If you subtract debt, the total assets of white households is $97,000. And for black families, $2,200. No, not $22,000, $2,200. What should the government be doing, and how do we rebuild middle-class wealth in the African-American community? Here to discuss this is Michelle Singletary, personal financial columnist for the Washington Post, Kelvin Boston, host of Moneywise with Kelvin Boston, and Jennifer Matthews, author of 12 Ways to Put Money in Your Pocket. Folks, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Let's just be honest, okay? Black folks might not want to hear this, but the reality is the president is now on his fourth home foreclosure financing plan. The first three, according to government accountability experts, have been massive failures.
Right.
What is the problem here? Why is it this administration cannot fix this housing issue when you have one program after another, and now they're on number 4?
I don't think it's been a total failure. I think all the programs have helped millions of people keep their homes. What's happened a lot of time when the government, especially through Congress, when they give out these programs or start these programs, number one, they give no marketing money. They give very little money to the nonprofits who are supposed to carry out these programs. So they almost set them up to fail.
Right, and look, understand, that's why I used failure. I remember getting a phone call from Congressman Ashaka Fatah, and he said, hey, I need to come on the Tom in the morning show because we've got this housing program, $1.1 billion, and the deadline is Thursday.
Right.
It was Tuesday. Right. And I'm sitting here going, how in the world hasn't HUD reached out to us beforehand, and he's calling 48 hours before the deadline saying we got to let folks know about $1.1 billion.
Right.
And a lot of that money went back to
but
government.
The other problem is the banking industry. All of these programs are volunteer based, so they don't have to do any of these programs, and they don't do a lot of them. I mean, it's true that a lot of homeowners have been helped, but a lot have not been helped, and people will file for modifications, and it takes a year or two, and they lose the paperwork, and there's not enough nonprofit housing councils to go around. I mean, these people are working, hours upon hours to help homeowners. I mean, it's still the banking industry trying to squeeze out some more money because they don't want to help these people. And that whole theory, used to be that the bank don't want to take your house. No, that's not true. They want your house. They want your money. They want you in the street. And they're not doing what they're supposed to do to help these people stay in their homes.
Jennifer, we had the banks in a perfect position.
Yes.
We could have, as a government, said, look, we're going to help you guys out. Fine. This is what you have to do. The Bush administration, and yes, the Obama administration, continued this voluntary effort. Sean Donovan, the housing secretary, sat right here on this show, and I questioned him about that. And he talked about it and said, well, yeah, we're working with them. And I said, look, if you don't make this mandatory, there's absolutely no incentive for the banks to help somebody be able to refinance their homes. And so when the banks became healthy, when the taxpayers bailed them out, they then said, we don't have any stress or pressure now. And in fact, we're going to sit on a housing inventory and wait until it all turns around and make even more money by being able to resell these homes.
And what I encourage people to do is step up, because just like you got that phone call 48 hours before the deadline, people contact us. Oh, the sheriff is coming next week. You have to reach out for help, because help is out there when the problem first starts. Don't be embarrassed. Speak out. Go to a nonprofit housing counselor. Contact your elected official. Don't sit and wait until the last minute.
And I think also, go back to your point, where maybe the federal government missed the opportunity. It looks like state governments, especially attorney generals, have been stepping up, putting more pressure, especially on the big banks. And just recently, they did enter into a major agreement with the 5 big banks to
We
at
had
least
Kamala
help.
Harris of the California AG on this show, and she's been one of the most aggressive attorney generals out there by really driving this issue home.
Right. I mean, Maryland has been doing a great job trying to help homeowners.
How do we rebuild, though, black wealth? First of all, most wealth in America is actually through home ownership. Right. And for African Americans, even more so, because unlike whites, it's not a question of mutual funds and stocks and bonds and things along those lines. And so how do we begin to rebuild it? Because since the 80s, 65% or so black wealth gone. Right. That means that typically a small business will launch, you will launch a small business based upon a home equity loan. You don't own a home, you have no access to capital. Right. So what are the steps? How do we begin to go down that road?
Well, I think it goes back to the same tried and true things. I live and breathe what my grandmother taught me. I mean, a lot of these families are going to probably have to get out of these homes they can't afford anymore and just start to rebuild. That may mean renting for a while, saving up, and then at some point, because the housing prices are definitely down, get back into homeownership. Right. But then also investing and saving and having various pots for the money. And then education, going to college, finishing college, but going to college without debt, just really not going down that debt road. And then that's how you slowly rebuild. There's lots of criticism about African Americans and what they don't have in that figure, the $2,000. But let's be real. A lot of that is still because of what happened to us. And when you look at the studies and you look behind the numbers, families were taking care of families. And so that's why they don't have a lot of money. It's not like it's something in our genes that we can't save.
Oh, absolutely.
It annoys me so much when people say that. Families have been helping each other. You're sending your cousin to school, or you're helping your grandmother with her house. And so that's why they don't have a lot of equity. And then also, our pay wasn't the same way. We didn't have parents who paid for us to go to school, so we have those school loans. Now, having said that, we can't do what the rest of America does and live on a diet of debt.
Yeah, I think, as you know, I'm going around the country with the Moneywise Empowerment Tour to help people understand how to find success in this economic mess. And our basic message is this. Number one, we can't wait on the government to help us. We can't wait for corporations to come back and hire us. So I'm advocating every family to have a financial plan, a business plan, a life plan, and a spiritual plan. Because that's what you have to plan. If you're not planning on how you're going to get out of this mess, you're planning to fail and stay in this mess.
For a while there, it appeared as if Americans were saying, look, I can't afford it, I'm not buying it. Folks were truly forced to live within their means. But now we're seeing debt go back up. Now we're seeing debt increase. You lay out 12 ways to put money in your pocket. And so give us a sense of, from your perspective, where black folks must be, not want to be, but must be when it comes to trying to build and create wealth.
Well, the first thing, they have to be encouraged, because there's so much discouragement and there's so much of a loss of hope. People need to understand they can rebuild after foreclosure, they can rebuild after a short sale. The world has not ended, but then they have to actually buckle down and have the budget, have the plans. And we're not used to writing things down. You have to take control over your financial future. I tell people, you work 40, 60 hours a week making somebody else's dream. You have got to have your own dream plan at home. Make your dream at home and stick to it. If you need an accountability partner, there's so many resources out there. You got 3 authors here. You got, there's so much out there. Step up and do it. Go get the information. Don't sit home and watch all these TV shows. I'm not going to say.
Go ahead. I hate most of the trashy reality shows, Real Housewives of Atlanta, Basketball Wives, but go ahead.
Educate ourselves. We spend so much time and energy entertaining ourselves. We don't educate ourselves. That's how we build wealth, by taking the hard steps now, doing right now what other people won't do. For at least 2 to 3 years, you'll see yourself turn the corner, and then you'll be even more motivated and inspired, because it will take 10 years.
But can I just say, I think you need to buy the homes, the foreclosed homes in your community. I think we need to own our own businesses, and definitely seek out a HUD-approved housing counselor, no matter whether you want to keep your home or buy a new home.
I'm going to close it out this way. I absolutely believe no one can depend on the government, but we still have a responsibility to demand of this administration and this Congress, even if it's President Obama, even if black folks love him to death, that, look, these are federal programs that should be working. And there should be a more aggressive position saying, look, if you can't fix it, you can't make it right, let's find somebody who will, because if it's there for that purpose, take advantage of it. And I still think the second thing is, Michelle, we've got to have the honest conversation with our families.
Right.
And that is, you can't keep coming to me asking me for money, but then you don't want to have me in your business.
Right.
And I think at some point, and I know it's tough for some people, we're going to have to cut some family members off, because you can't be in a situation when you look back and you literally are handing off $5, $10, $20, $30, $40, $50,000 a year, and then you look up and say, all of a sudden when you lose a job, man, look at all the lost revenue I had because I'm trying to help everybody else who also should have been stepping up educational-wise and things along those lines.
I run a program at my church where we don't just focus on budgeting and things. We talk about changing how you look at
culture
money.
change.
And so I believe that to whom much is given, much is required. So we should be helping our family members, but helping them in a way that helps them up, not a handout. And so that's why you need to be in a program that doesn't just focus on the numbers, but what does debt mean to you? Because basically when you're in debt, you're a slave. And so, and how do you say no in a way that helps your family and you're not doling out money? And I think those are the kind of programs that will help people so that because I can give people a budget till the cows come home. But if they don't know why they spend and the pressure that, listen, let's be real. There's hundreds and thousands of commercials kids are exposed to, we're exposed to. Look at this thing you got here. You don't need that. And look at all that stuff.
Actually,
but you got them.
And guess what? I have no debt.
But I'm saying, but you're probably like 1%. But there's like a lot of pressure to do and keep up that we got to get to that part, because that's why people are going back to their old ways.
Right. But I want to just take that real quickly, Roland. I think we also have to keep not only the federal government accountable, we have to keep our financial institutions accountable. This is our time to tell people, no, we don't have to go to certain banks, but also keep our local officials accountable.
Right.
A lot of federal money goes to the state, and then they don't dole it out the way they're supposed to. And last thing, families need to put mom and them in your budgets. See, right now, we just keep giving them money.
Right.
You put a certain amount of money. This is how much I can spend and share with family members per month. After that limit is hit, they have to wait till next month.
And I budget for things that are help them, like for college.
And I am out of time. Up next.